Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Just as a quick reminder, a lot of the things that we do on this channel is, and I'm going to read this off my chart, we talk about everything beauty, sometimes fashion, more than once, decorating. I've taken you through my house. I need to do that again and take you through the redo. Life changes, which now seem to be a lot about widowhood and just everything about it and any subjects that come to mind. And if you have a subject that you would like me to address, then I want to ask you to put it in the comments of any subject that you would like me to talk about, and I'd be happy to do that. I also talk about living in Southern California, which right now is blazing hot. It's 107 degrees here on the 3rd of September, I believe. And it's going to be in the 90s all next week. So somebody said fall's around the corner. In California, fall is always late coming. And so all of this is mostly for women 60, 70, 80, and beyond. Because we're still living healthy, vibrant lives, and I want to help give ideas and tips and what I'm doing and different things to and how I'm living my life, so that we can have full and productive lives as we move forward in this world, in this environment. And so we talk about all of that. And so I want to get started, and I want to talk today about the 10 ways to help a friend who is a new widow and beyond. And I'd love to do one quick update first, just a minute on it, and that is my eyes. This eye has been operated on. It is with a cataract, and it's doing well. I have 20/20 vision in it. And this eye is to be operated on probably in October. I have an appointment with the doctor the 6th of October, and we'll probably operate on this one sometime that month. I really wanted the monovision. Let me get rid of this. I really wanted the monovision, distance and close-up, which is what I've had for 20 years. And it's just not going to work. I was upset with the doctor because he was trying to talk me into it, and I had some crying times because I don't have my support structure again. That long time, 57-year marriage. And so, not that he made every decision. I'm perfectly capable of making my own decisions. But it's just nice to know, I don't know, it was just different. I don't know how to explain it. It was just different because I can bounce it off of anybody else, but it's not the same as bouncing it off of him. And I'm sure many of you guys understand that. And so my daughter, my oldest daughter said, let's see, no, it was my best friend. My best friend said, have you thought about praying about it? So Stephanie, thank you. It was like, I could have had a V8. Why do we always try to do things ourselves first, and then when all else fails, we go to God? I know not all of you are that way, and I'm not that way on everything, but I am on a lot, and I'm trying to get better. So I went to him because I wanted the mono, and I was talking to him and telling him why I chose to have the surgery and what my goals were and what I wanted to do. And he made it very clear to me that I need to get both eyes for distance and then do what's left with reading glasses, because I had, my goal was because I couldn't see the street signs. And I love driving so much. And I don't know how much longer I can drive, but I want to drive while I can, and I wasn't ready to give it up yet. And so that's why I went in to have the cataracts removed. So if that's my goal, and that's the reason I wanted to do it, then I need the best vision I can possibly get for driving. So I'm like, thank you, God. And it was so quick and easy. I mean, he just made it so clear so fast. It was amazing. So grateful once again. And so I am going to go in and tell him that I will take the distance vision and then I'll make it up in glasses for reading. So that's my cataract story. And now I would like to, and I'm going to put my glasses on because I have some papers, not my notes, but I've added to them. And so my subject is 10 ways to help a friend who's a new widow. And I'm going to put these on. I know they glare and everything. I had some thoughts, of what I could share with you. And you've heard some of the things that I've talked about as I've gone through my videos and different needs that I have had that either were or were not met, and how that affected me. And so I wanted to kind of come at it from a different angle. So I found this article, and I really think this kind of says most of it in a nutshell, with me just adding a couple of thoughts on it. So I want to give credit where credit's due, and this article is by Marlene Laponzi. And so I was talking, what started this, sorry, glasses on and off. What started this decision to want to share this with you, because this is more for someone that can do things for us than it is to us directly. However, we are in this position now, and there'll come a time when we'll have someone else that will be in that position. And hopefully some of the things that I've shared on my videos and this information will help us know what to do for someone else to fill that void. So I was talking on, I have one of you guys, many of you guys have found me on Facebook, and I love you for that. And if you're on Facebook, just come to Facebook, look for my name, Connie Norline. I'm the only one there. And ask for me to be your friend, and then do a double check on it. Go into Messenger and just leave a quick message that you watching my YouTube videos and you wanted to friend me. So that way I'll know where you're coming from, and it'll give me a second notice in case I missed the first one on the friend request. I'll get the second notice on your message, and I'd love to be friends with you. So several of you guys have done that, and one in particular that I recently had a chat with, and that was a new friend by the name of Kay. And Kay and I had a great conversation about things that we have or haven't done for someone that might have needed it, and our own circumstances of things we needed done for us that left us empty. And so that conversation that I had with her over the last couple of days on Facebook in private messenger, thank you, Kay. I hope you watch this, and I'll send you a message on Facebook and let you know that I posted this today. And thank you. It was a great conversation, and I think it's a mission for both of us, and many others of you on here may have similar missions that you might get a nudge to be taking on. So that being said, the first one that's suggested is bring food, but coordinate it with others. And so the first thing I want to say about that is some people will do things independently because that's the kind of person they are for someone. And then there will be some that can actually start a group or suggest a group, let someone else start it or whatever, and communicate with each other and find out what someone's doing so that you don't duplicate each other. Maybe you can do something else instead. And what they're talking about here on the meals is, you know, you don't want to send someone, 5 different people take a meal and they end up with 5 different casseroles and 3 of them are tuna noodle casserole. So that's a good idea. And I also want to expound on that, and I want to say that in today's time, it's not like way back. And everybody, a lot of people have special diets. And so if you can find out, if you don't know, ask your friend what kind of foods she eats, if she has any restrictions, maybe what her favorites are. And it's awesome to bring the comfort foods. But I know for me, weight is an issue because I let that happen, and I gained weight because of it. And so I'm now on a different eating program, and I feel great. I have energy, I feel better than I've felt in a long time, and I'm maintaining my weight. And so make sure you find out what their dietary needs are, and don't just bring anything. I mean, shoot, you could bring me tuna noodle casserole and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I would eat them all. And then I would pay for it. So think about the long-term effects maybe of them as well. I know today, in hindsight, I would have rather had that, but I accepted anything I could get. So I hope that helps a little bit on that. And let's see, another thing on that, when you guys, if anybody starts a group planning for things that need to be done for new widows, maybe someone techie, more techie than me, can coordinate it on a website or some kind of an app or something where you can coordinate with everybody and let everybody know what you're doing, so that she doesn't get 5 phone calls all the same day at between 10 and 10:30. You know, she doesn't get 5 tuna noodle casseroles, and she doesn't have 5 invites for the same day to go somewhere. We'll talk about that. So if you do work in a group to do things for a new widow, make sure that you do things like that and coordinate it. And I know there's lots of great apps and things out there, so I know you guys are smart and you can do that. So that's my 2 cents on that one. The second suggestion is come and clean our house. And I don't mean by that to come in and be a maid and just do everything. You know, there's the 5 love languages, and you probably won't know what their love language is, but maybe over time of asking questions of what you'd like to do for them, you might find out more of what their love language is. Also, another thing is, in the past, if you know them well, whatever they did for others is usually what they'd like to have done for themselves. If they go clean someone else's house, then they may want you to come clean their house. I like to have my house clean, but I don't want to clean anybody else's. I want to pay to have mine done. So that's not, that's like an act of service and not what I want. So, lost my train of thought. Yeah, so don't come in and be a housekeeper and clean their house all day and leave. You know, maybe come in and do the vacuuming one day. And when you're done, sit down and have a cup of coffee with them, or have the coffee first and then do the vacuuming. And then, you know, give them a hug and tell them you love them, and you're going to let them enjoy the rest of their day. And they may spend the rest of the day alone. They may have someone else that's going to call or come over. The biggest thing I can say at this point, because it just came to me, is that people do a lot of this stuff for 3 months, 6 months, but little by little, they wane off. And what do I want to say? When then they're left alone again. And so I don't think the waning off is the thing to do, because I miss the lack of contact. And I'll just take a second to talk about this. There's so much on this subject. Many of you know the people that you most expected are the ones that don't show up. And one of the reasons, there could be many, but one of the reasons could very well be because they don't know what to do or say. And that's why I wanted to share this list of 10, so that it would give you some ideas of what to do and say. And not to, sometimes for the first week or 2 weeks or a month, you're inundated. And then all of a sudden everybody stops all at once. And then the deathly silence is overwhelming. So keep it up. And if you're the widow, then don't expect from anybody, and be gracious for what comes, because what comes might be tenfold more than what you expected from someone else. And I've told you before about my neighbor that is not necessarily, cuddly or warm and huggy-lovey, but she was there for me every single day. When she finished her coffee at the clubhouse, she'd come over and knock on my door. Either I would be there to greet her, or she would open the door and come in. And she's just checking on you, see how you're doing. You need anything today? And one day I greeted her at the door, and she looked at me and she said, somebody needs a hug. And she gave me the sweetest, warmest hug. And of course I was crying anyway, so that I bawled like a baby. But we have to do that. We have to get our emotions out. Don't stuff them, for heaven's sakes. So be there for us. Don't smother us. And don't drop off the face of the earth after a week or a month or 6 months. Stay around. We need you. So another thing could be, and again, I'm not a house cleaner unless I have to be. I'm also not a gardener. So the other thought on here with cleaning the house is, come weed their garden. I'm not going to offer that either. They wouldn't be happy with the job I did. So my neighbor, on the other hand, also is an incredible gardener. She loves to garden. It's therapy for her. And she's 8 years older than I am. She's going to be 87 or 88 this month. And she does my gardening, and I pay her a small pittance for it. But she says it's therapy for her, and she loves it. I've had the conversation with her many times. You don't have to keep doing this. I'm grateful. But if you feel like you want to stop without saying, hey, you're 87, So she loves it. She's still doing it, and she's great at it. So if you're good at gardening, offer to come weed the garden. Maybe once a month or something like that. If there's more than one of you, take turns. Let's see. Another one is, don't ask, do. If you ask us, let me know if you need anything, or what can I do to help? We're going to say nothing. We're not going to let you know we need anything. We're just going to sit and cry. And we're not going to let you know we need help. And that's why in the one above where it says, come offer to clean their house or do some weeding. And don't just weed and leave. Again, come in and sit down and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or a water together. Maybe have a little prayer time together. whatever works for the two of you at that time. So let me see. I think there was a couple of other tips on here I wanted to take. I'm just going to read this. People in the thick of grief, we have no idea what we need. We are in shock and can barely get out of bed in the morning, and that's true. I didn't even sleep in my bed for the first month, and most of you know this. I slept in my lazy boy chair because I couldn't bear to go to bed, our bed. I slept in the chair. So we say things like, I'm doing okay, thanks. And we're really not, and you know that. So let's see. We can't imagine how someone can make our life better. How can anyone or anything make this situation better? That's what we're thinking. But I promise you now, 3.5, almost 4 years into my widowhood, I know people can make me feel better, can give me comfort in a nice way without saying, oh, you poor thing, and giving me pity. So to help us out, try not to say, what can I do to help? Instead, try something like, I'd like to come over on Saturday afternoon to weed your garden. Is that okay? So it goes back to number 2 when we're talking about you. I don't want to come over and do a couple of things around the house for you. Maybe you need a little dusting or something. I have some free time on Saturday, and I'd love to come visit with you and do a little something for you around your house. Would that be okay with you? Saturday work for you? Same thing for the gardening. Just remember, don't come and go. Spend a few minutes. And if you say that in advance, try not to back out. Because honestly, we may put our whole day's hope in that 30-minute or an hour time with you. And so don't back out unless you absolutely have to. Just, that's my thought. This phrasing makes it easy for us to accept while still grieving, and the opportunity to decline if we really do want to be alone. Another one is send a card when you don't know what to say. And I have a friend that belongs to a women's political group, and they've got a lot of women in the group. And so they somehow picked her, and she's the perfect one for it. And she does all of the birthday cards every year. It comes from her every time. But she sends out a birthday card to every single member. And she has this thing so systematically organized. So don't be the one to send out the thinking about you cards or the sympathy card for a new widow or whatever it might be if you're not organized. Find somebody else, because she does a tremendous job of it. And I think they said something here about that. If they didn't, I will. Let's see. So I'm just going to read this, because no sense in me quietly reading it. It said, death leaves us feeling helpless, and everything we say seems woefully inadequate. If you don't know what to say on the phone or in person, send us a card. Every card I received after my husband's death was a comfort. They reminded me other people cared and hadn't forgotten about me. Skip platitudes about it being God's will or that he's in a better place. Those things are true, but they're not comforting. Instead, say you're sorry, and then follow up with a sentence or two about your spouse. You know, a lot of people, and she may say this, I don't know, but a lot of people avoid talking about your spouse because they don't want to upset you. And even if they upset you, it's okay. Even if you cry, it's okay. If you're the one talking about our spouse, except if we cry, sometimes it's a momentary cry. Sometimes it's a gut-wrenching cry. Give us a minute and we'll get through it. And I think she says something about that here. Say you're sorry and follow up with a sentence or two about your spouse. For example, say, I'll always remember when John, or I loved how he did such and such. He was important to us, right? Important to us. And we want to hear what's important to others too. We want to know you haven't forgotten about him either. You know, there's so much awkward things, like all of a sudden you're the third party in a couple's situation. Maybe you were a couple for a long time. All of a sudden you're a third party. Some of those may go by the wayside. And that's, that happens. And they'll be replaced with new relationships. It doesn't mean those relationships are gone, but maybe the couple time is gone. You could still be friends with the wife, maybe. So just communicate with us. You know, send the cards. And maybe send a card every day for the first week or the first 2 weeks. And then maybe send a card once a month for a whole year or 2. You know, we don't get over this in 6 months. Shoot, we're just getting started at 6 months. We're just beginning to see light at 6 months. It's really a challenge. So don't stop. We need to hear from you. You know, I had a neighbor that loved Gar and I dearly. And she was the get well lady of the park, which included sympathy and everything else. And every time I was out front, if she would drive by, she would roll her window down and look at me and go, and wave and go on home. Oh my gosh. I got her caring, but I would have rather she'd said something. Oh, I'm glad I saw you. You were on my mind today. I just want you to know I love you. And I'll check in on you later. Something. Not just, oh, you poor, poor thing. That's not what we need. Does that make sense? I think this is probably going to be longer than I expected. I'm sorry. Mark your calendar with our important dates. At a certain point, everyone else in life goes on. That's to be expected, but don't forget that your friend is still grieving. There is no expiration date on our pain. Milestone dates like birthdays, anniversaries, and the date of our spouse's death can be especially difficult. Make a note of these dates in your calendar, and when the day arrives, reach out to us with a card or a call or a text, and let us know you haven't forgotten that you're thinking about us. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Almost done. Invite us out for the day. And I'm just going to read this because it's great stuff. Invite us to coffee, lunch, or a movie, or anything else that you've done prior to our husband's death together. Becoming a widow can be an isolating experience. People don't always know what to say, so they say nothing at all. Don't avoid us, but continue to include us in activities you did in the past. Sometimes we really might want to be alone, or the thought of doing an activity that we used to do with our spouse may be overwhelming. Even if we decline a few times, please keep asking. We appreciate the thought that you haven't forgotten about us. And we'll say yes when we're ready. If you remember on one of my videos, I had a neighbor invite me to a book club. I love books, but I've never been to a book club. So I thought, oh shoot, I'll go. It gets me out of the house. I need to start saying yes. So as widows, we learn that we know we have to start saying yes to things, or we're going to stay here stuck in our own cloud for the rest of our life when you know our spouses don't want that. So I had a friend invite me to a book club. I went to about 3 of them for 3 months in a row. Maybe they're not all like this, I don't know, but it just wasn't me. And so I quit going. But I went and I experienced it. And that's what was important. So invite us to things and see how we like it. This one I talked about already, provide compassion, not pity. Hearing things like, I don't know how you do it over and over again is a good way for us to start wondering how we're doing it. Have normal conversations with us. Just don't forget us and don't pity us. Understand when we say no or we don't want to talk. So everyone grieves differently. Some widows want to be surrounded by others. They want to talk about their husbands to anyone and everyone. Others prefer to stay home and alone and process this loss on their own. How people deal with this loss changes as time goes on. So don't take it personally when we decline invitations or offers to help. And don't badger us into accepting either. The compassionate thing to do is to reach out every couple of weeks to let us know you're thinking about us and tell us you'd love to see us when we're ready. And the last thing that I wrote down for myself was, again, let me get a drink. I've been going too long, sorry. I couldn't shorten this one. If you ever get choked, raise your hands. It clears your airway. People think I'm silly, but it works. So the last thing I had written down was phone calls and texts. And I talked a lot about this already, but in remembering us, text us. My girlfriend, Stephanie, she's my best friend. She lives in Sacramento area. I live in Orange County. We're about 8 hours apart. She texts me every single solitary day. She texts her daughter every day. And she texts her mother every single day. Hi, how you doing? What are you doing today? What's on the agenda? Got any plans? Here's what I'm doing. My oldest daughter will usually text me sometime during the day, most days. And my youngest daughter usually calls me every day she's working. She doesn't work every day. She's a court reporter, so she's working. She calls me and we talk on her way to work. Or when she's taking the kids to cheer, she'll call and we talk. And it may only be 10 minutes. But oh, what that 10-minute means, right? So you don't have to worry about knowing what to say. You just call and you say, hi, how you doing? Got any plans for today? And doing anything exciting? Maybe I'm cleaning the house. What are you doing? A text for the same thing. So stay in contact and don't drop off. People start dropping off and by 6 months, you don't hear from anybody. So I encourage you to stay with us and let us know you're there. And we'll come out of this. I promise we'll come out of it. It just takes time and everybody's time is different. I am so much better. I would have never ever believed 3.5 years ago that I would feel the way I do now and can talk about this subject and all of those subjects without a tear. I would not have been able to have done that 2 years ago. So I love all of you guys. Thank you for listening to this very long video, and I appreciate you. And if you have not and you want to subscribe, please hit the little subscribe button and the bell if you want to be notified when I get new ones. And if you'd like to be friends on Facebook, I love making new friends, and I get to know you guys much better on Facebook. So come find me on Facebook. I'd love to chat with you like I did with Kay. So Kay, thanks for this idea. And just remember, if nobody else tells you today, I love you. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.